Let's talk with your host, Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, all right here. Ooh, simply straight talk.
Hey, come on in.
Hey, thank you. And how's your day going?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm just trying to clean my head from the conversation I just had with Mark.
Mark, you know what? I only met him a few times. He seems like he's kind of cool. So what was the conversation all about?
Yeah, okay. If you say so, maybe it's because guys have their little boys' clubs.
Seriously? What boys club, Angelique?
Never mind. Do you want something to drink?
A lemon water, if you don't mind.
Okie doke, no problem.
Okay, so what was the conversation about? Because clearly you're bothered by it. And talking about it, might kind of help come to a resolution of what's going on.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Sure. You know what? He just has a way of saying and doing things that I don't like.
Like what?
He constantly touches my shoulders when he talks to me, and his tone is so aggressive and disrespectful at times.
Have you told him that you're not comfortable with any of that stuff he's doing?
Yeah. And then he just ignores me like it's a joke.
I wonder if he's just dealing with some issues. You know what? Sometimes when a guy likes a woman, he doesn't know how to properly express it. So I wonder if that's what he's doing.
No, but why do men always try to justify inappropriate behavior from other men?
Wait, I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm just trying to help figure things out.
Really? By insinuating that his behavior is okay because he likes me? No, okay, I see. It's not him, it's me. So I should just ignore everything because this asshole may have a crush on me.
Whoa. I didn't say that. You're getting mad at the wrong person. I don't agree with the way he's acting. So I don't know why you're directing these negative attitudes towards me. You know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to be your homie.
You know what? Because I am tired of men trying to justify this stupid boys' club behavior just to keep up their manly image, and then us women have to pay the price.
Okay, first off, I'm not all men. And second, you know damn well, I would never treat you or any other woman like that.
You know what? I'm not feeling well. Maybe you should leave right now.
You know what? No problem. But let me tell you this. I get it. You're angry. I understand that. But you're taking it out on me for the wrong reasons.
I said, can you just leave?
Serious right now.
Of all people, I thought you would be more understanding of how disturbing this is to me.
I'm trying to, but you're acting a little childish right now.
Childish, right, okay. How about go fuck yourself, like right now? Bye.
You know what? The hell with this. Have a nice life.
Welcome to Simply Straight Talk with your host, Reggie Maddox. So don't get scared. You know we all about that real talk on the Simply Straight Talk show.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Simply Straight Talk show. This is your man, Reggie Maddox, and man, let me tell you, this subject right here, let me tell you something. You know, I got a lot of mixed emotions about this topic, and I'm going to be honest with you. You know, this is going to have some vulgar language in it. I'm going to try to, keep it to a minimum. Y'all know I normally don't do that, but this one I know is going to bring it out because this is a very emotional and it's a very real topic for men and women today. Now, there are going to be some things I'm going to say in this episode that some of you are going to agree with, some of you are not going to agree with. But these are my feelings. This is what I think and what I feel about this whole toxic masculinity topic that is now floating around because it's become very popular and it's like the thing now, especially on the media and movies and TV shows. And I sort of hinted on this in a couple of the previous podcasts that I've done where I've actually talked about the fact that how the term toxic masculinity has affected the way a lot of movies are coming out It's affected the toys that a lot of our young boys can play with. And my personal belief, I'm just going to tell you straight off the bat, is I don't believe in toxic masculinity. I don't believe in it. And I know some people say that, yeah, it's real. I don't think it's real. I don't believe it's real. And I want to discuss it. Now, before you start tuning out and all that type stuff, and I know some people probably done cut it off right now. That's all fine and good. But hear my point and understand why I am debating the issue that toxic masculinity is not a real term. This is something that somebody came up with just to come up with something to target one group instead of dealing with the real issues that are at hand. So that is why I don't believe there is a such thing as toxic masculinity. But I do believe that there is something called toxic behavior, which covers men and women. So to come up with a term like toxic masculinity, well, we're going to get into it. So before we do, let me just give you a brief definition of what has been described as toxic masculinity. Now, this is according to dictionary.com. They define toxic masculinity as a cultural concept of manliness that glorifies stoicism, strength, virility, and dominance, and that is socially adaptive or harmful to mental health. That's their description of toxic masculinity. Now, I want to say this. There are so many different definitions of toxic masculinity. I have researched other shows, other debates. There is no one group of people or person where everybody is using the same descriptive form. So when you ask somebody, what is toxic masculinity? Everybody is giving you a different answer. Everybody is giving you a different description. That's why I'm telling you that toxic masculinity doesn't exist. But let me tell you why I say we should not be going after people talking about toxic masculinity. We should be addressing the issue of toxic behavior in individuals. Okay. Now, dictionary.com. I'm sorry. That was the toxic masculinity. Now, for toxic behavior, here is the definition. This is behavior exhibited by you personally or by another major figure in your life that results in a negative effect on the mental health and well-being or on yourself or others. Now, that sounds more relevant to what is going on in a lot of relationships. Even you can use that on jobs. You know what I'm saying? That can apply to every environment, and it can apply to every individual, man, woman, child, teenage boys, teenage girls, young adults, adults, pre-adults, preteens. It covers the whole basis. And that is what we should be addressing, is toxic behavior, because toxic masculinity is not real. This is something that probably somebody who is part of maybe a feminist group has decided that we're going to use this because it singles out and targets men. It does not target negative or, bad behavior in men and women. See, that's the point. That's what gets me upset. And that's what bothers me, is the fact that when you have negative behavior, toxic behavior that is displayed in all genders, and it's being ignored because you want to target one group. That's my issue with this whole toxic masculinity movement, because it's not addressing the fact that there is toxic behavior in men and women. It is basically saying that all men are toxic. And I just can't accept that, because I am not a toxic male. I don't abuse women. I don't sexually manipulate women. I don't touch women without them saying I can touch them. Even in general conversations, I don't just put my hands on them to touch them. I don't talk rude to them. I don't disrespect them. I feel if I apply for a job and a woman applies for a job, even though we both may need the job, but if she gets hired for the job because, hey, guess what? She's got a better degree. She has 4 or 5 more years experience. She has a better track record in that field. Damn it, give her the job. She's earned it. I'm not a part of any fucking boys club. So my thing is for you to come out and talk about all men are toxic. That's bullshit. Next, bring it down. Okay. Here's my thing. Now, here's why I feel toxic masculinity does not exist. And because in my opinion, I just feel like, people's behavior can be learned from their environment and from the relationships. So I just want you to understand that, because I think we're saying that, this whole thing about men want to be alpha males and all this stuff about what things men are taught is all taught because of toxic masculinity. See, this is what I'm trying to understand. Half of y'all are saying that men are not in the homes, especially y'all are saying that black men are not in the homes anyway, and we're not doing anything with our children. So how are we teaching our children toxic masculinity? Okay, I'll wait for y'all to get an answer to that. The next thing is this. I believe that what you consider as toxic masculinity, but I call bad behavior. So get used to it, because I'm going to call it either toxic behavior or bad behavior. I don't believe in toxic masculinity. But what you call toxic masculinity, I believe can be learned from a person's environment or from their relationships. Example. Let me give you an example. I want you to ride with me on this, because just like I'm riding with y'all on the whole thing, I want y'all to ride with me and kind of hear what I'm trying to say. For example, let's say this. A man has dated, let's say a man goes on a date, he meets a woman, okay? He's in a relationship for a few years, but he finds out that the woman was unfaithful, she wasn't really good for him, and he ended up just investing so much of his time and money in her, the relationship fails. He meets another woman, they start dating. And then it's the same thing. By the time that relationship ends, he's now in a financial setback. So when he meets the next woman, he might be a little more controlling because of his money. When it comes to his money and his resources, he's like, listen, I'm not going through no money loss again. I'm not going through a divorce and losing my house again. So you know what? I'm keeping my house. I'm keeping my money. I love you, but I'm not sharing these things with you right now until I know. And a lot of people will call him as being, he's trying to be an alpha male. He's trying to be dominant. He's trying to be controlling. He's toxic masculinity. No, this is a man that has suffered losses due to the fact of some bad relationships. So now he's a little more protective of what is. This is what I'm talking about. What you call toxic masculinity, talking about a man trying to be controlling and dominating, he might be controlling and dominating that area because he just had some bad experiences. And I think people need to understand that. Okay, let's take another example. A child grows up in a single family home. All right. Let's say the father died from cancer. I know that's kind of harsh, but let's just say the father died from cancer. So, the male child is now without a father. The mother is raising the child. So he's getting all of his attitude and everything else from the kids around the block, the kids in the neighborhood, the other kids on the street. That's what he's picking it all up from. So now this kid is adopting behavior, not because it was taught, just because he's picking up what he sees from other people. And that's the thing about it. It's like a person's behavior can be learned from their environment or their relationships. So you can't always say that toxic masculinity is the reason people act certain way. When you got somebody who was raised in a single family home, and they're living in a low income community, yes, they may have to fight every day going to school, coming home from school. They know struggle. So there's something inside of them that changes them into more of an aggressive person when it comes to their career and to their job and to pursuing what they want. And I don't understand why people can't understand that your environment and your relationships with people outside of your family can cause your behavior to change. It can cause you to adapt a mentality that may not be taught in your home. It's just life itself teaching you. And I don't understand why people want to classify this as toxic masculinity. Because women, in reality, you need to face the facts that there are a lot of men. Okay, if you want to know for real, go back and listen to the podcast I did on how women are teaching their young women about men. And the one lady was telling her, oh, go find you a fat dude that an ugly dude nobody can't get, and you take all this money. You have a woman that's actually teaching that. Multiple women are teaching that on YouTube. And they have a huge YouTube following of women who are agreeing with them. So you're talking about toxic behavior. That is toxic teaching. But I don't hear women calling that out. I don't hear women addressing that. We need to deal with toxic behavior. Toxic behavior. It is not toxic masculinity. When I was coming up, masculinity was not about men going out and beating women. That's not toxic masculinity. I never in my life heard another man say, oh, he got on a tank top, so he like to beat women. That's a man. He cool. Everybody I know, from me coming up as a child to growing up to an adulthood now, if you put your hands on a woman, every man said, oh, every man will call you out. You weak. The only reason you fight women because you scared of a real man. So I don't understand that. I really just don't understand that. You got to realize something. There's a difference between toxic behavior versus this fake thing y'all calling toxic masculinity. It is toxic behavior in the individual. That individual is displaying toxic behavior. Now, another thing I want to address is that some women say, we reference all men when it comes to toxic masculinity because they need to be a part of this conversation. All men need to be a part of the conversation. I don't understand that because all men don't beat women. All men don't disrespect women. All men don't sexually assault, sexually abuse, or do anything sexually wrong against women. But you want to label all men when you say this. And I don't understand that. I really don't understand that because that is absolutely absurd. And let me tell you why. Cardi B said that she used to drug men and rob them for money. Okay. So is it fair for me to say, you know what? We need to deal with this because all women out here drugging men and robbing them. All y'all women out here doing that. Just because Cardi B doing it, so I should label all y'all in that same category. So I should be able to publicly say and start a hashtag women drug men. And go on TV and say, yeah, all y'all need to say this. Y'all need to admit it right now, women. I did it too. Say it. All women, hashtag I did it too. It's not right because all women don't display that stupid behavior. All women don't stoop to that low life mentality of feeling they have to drug men and rob them. It's not fair. So that would be like saying, I'm going to go out now and arrest every woman. I'm going to arrest y'all, put y'all in a room, and y'all can say, well, why are you arresting me? Cardi B is the one that robbed the men and drugged them. Why are you arresting me? Well, I want you to be a part of this conversation. See, at that point, I'm not asking you to help come up with a resolution and discuss the issue. At that point, I'm forcing you to sit at the table in a defensive mode. You see, when I start labeling all women and making accusations that all women are this in a negative format, and then tell you, I'm basically forcing you to come to the table and sit down and have the conversation, you're already coming to the conversation. You're already going to sit at the table with an attitude and in a defense mode. And then when a person comes in defense mode, it's like, well, you guilty. And that's not true. And that's what y'all are doing to men. Y'all accusing all men, labeling all men into one bucket because what a few individual men do. And then y'all want to turn around and say, well, you know what? Y'all all need to be at the table. But then you get mad when the men come to the table and the men are like, listen, I don't agree with you labeling me like that because that's not me. So now the man is defensive and y'all are saying, well, he must be holding something back. He must be guilty. Any man that got a problem with it got issues. No. He knows his character and he has integrity and he does not want to be labeled with a class of people that have no respect and don't know how to treat women or treat people in general. So why are you acting like every man should be okay with being labeled like this, then come sit down and talk to you and be accused even more? If you want more men to sit down and have this conversation, change the way you express yourself about how you feel about it. Say, listen, guys, we know it's not all of you, but we need the guys out there who really care and really feel like this is wrong in the way that some men act to come and sit down at the table, Help us to understand what is the best way to deal with it. Now you invite men to the table to come and talk to you like adults without feeling like we have to be defensive. That first we got to clear the air that it's not all us. And you prolonging the whole process by doing this accusatory thing of making all men the enemy. And I don't understand why some women can't get that through their heads. But you know what? We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more of the Simply Straight Talk Show.
Free your mind, free your voice right here on Simply Straight Talk.
Hello, Simply Straight Talk family. If you are enjoying this episode, at the end of the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. And why not share this with a friend? Also, visit our blog at newlifenewmind.com, where you can find additional articles on more great topics. Stay tuned. The show will continue right after this message.
We're back with the conversation starter and the voice that works harder. Your host, Reggie.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the second part of the show. For those of you who are strong enough to handle some real talk, baby, that's what we got going on today. Some real talk. Now, let me say something, because I'm about to get right back into this. I want you to know something. Of all people, I am the one person that believes that men and women can do the same job. I don't believe in disrespecting women. I don't believe in, disrespecting men. I think everybody should be taught spoken to with respect. I think everybody should be given equal and same respect across the board. Now, with that being said, I want you to know that I recognize that there are some issues that women are facing today, and there are some issues that men are facing today. There are some issues that culturally other men are facing. Then black men have our own issues that we are facing. So I just want to be known that there are issues across the board, and I recognize everything. And on my show, I try to be fair, and I call it. If a man is wrong, I call him out for it. If the females are wrong, I call them out for it. I'm going to call out what's wrong and acknowledge what's right. But at the end, I always try to come up with a solution and a compromise for everybody to work together and be on the same page. Now, with that being said, I just wanted y'all to put that out there because I know some folks going to come crazy. And if you want to come at me, come at me. As long as you do it respectful, man, we can do this conversation all day, all year long. Whatever it takes to work it out. Now, the next thing I really want to address is, somebody came up with what they call the man box. Now, the man box contains basically 7 short descriptions of what they contribute to the fake term called toxic masculinity, which is really just toxic behavior. That's what it is. Toxic behavior in individuals. Now, here's the first thing they put on the list. That men are taught to suffer pain in silence. That is not true. I think a lot of these terms, as I go through them, you're going to realize that it's not about men being taught to suffer or do anything in silence. It's what men are teaching men when it comes to more competitive things. Because there are certain things culturally that I can speak to as being a black man that we are taught. And we are taught this because of our environment, because of what we face when we go out into a world that doesn't belong to us. But yet when negative factors are contributed to one group, then black men are included in that group. So with that being said, but jumping right back in it and not getting sidetracked like I was about to, when we talk about men and suffer pain in silence, that does not mean that you lay there with a broken leg and you don't tell nobody. Even if it's emotional or physical, men are taught to say when something is wrong, but we're taught to recognize the difference when something is worth fighting and worth not fighting. But women, you got to also recognize too that a lot of this is taught once again from the environment and from the relationship. Because most parents, as I know, what we were always taught, if something is wrong, you come talk to us. But when you go out into the streets and you start talking to your friends, or maybe you got a girlfriend or wife and you tell her something, she might consider you weak or not able to handle a situation or judge you for it. So you can't always say, this is not toxic masculinity. This is an environmental thing. Because a lot of women will judge a man if he cries. A lot of women will judge a man if he comes to her and says something that she feels like, oh, you're not supposed to act like that. This is coming from a woman. Men are not teaching men this. A woman is teaching. Men are learning this from their interaction with some women. So you need to understand that. Here's a personal example. I remember when I worked at this retirement home and I lost my job. Okay. So I lost my job, went back to my girl, and man, it just hit me because it's like, how am I going to pay for everything, my rent? And all of a sudden I was just like, when reality hits, man, it's like, damn, what the fuck am I going to do? I got bills. I got all this stuff I got to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to hold you down. So, as a man, you start to hear your eyes get watery, shit get real, you feel the tears coming down. And she was like, why you got tears coming out your eyes? Why you doing? Be a man, get up. When you hear that, that's coming from a relationship. That's coming from the environment. Right then, I was taught by a woman I was dating, that I can't cry in front of women. I can't expose myself in front of women. That's not toxic masculinity. That's something I was taught from a dating world, from an individual. See, this is what I'm talking about. Y'all are using these terms which are wrong. And y'all also have these descriptions that y'all call the man box, which is bullshit. And number 2 on the man box is men have no needs. That's a lie. Where do you get that from? I'm trying to understand, where do you get the term that men have no needs? Men have a need for money. They have a need for food. They have a need for clothing. They have a need for a roof over their head. Men have needs. Just like the same needs women got, men got. It's the same thing. So how do you say that men have taught that they have no needs? That's what I'm curious. Like, who came up with this? Because in my culture, in my family, this was never taught. So who came up with this? The next thing was, men never lose. I was never taught that. Men are taught that if you lose with pride. You lose with dignity. That's what men are taught. You hold your head up, you get back in there. So I'm just trying to understand, whenever was a men taught that men never lose? Men are taught that if you lose trying, you lose giving your best. You get back in there and you do it again. Show no emotions other than bravado or rage. Where do you get this from? Who came up with this list? Because I was never taught. I'm just trying to understand, because I was never taught this. And I know for a fact, nobody in my family, my cousins, my sisters, nobody in my family was taught that the only thing we show is rage. I'm trying to understand. I really am trying to understand. I don't get it. Don't depend on anyone. We was told you can depend on your family. We were. You should be able to depend on your family. Now, that ain't always true. But the bottom line is, I was never told not to depend on anyone. But here's the thing. As a child growing up, you teach your children, listen, learn how to cook. Learn how to clean. Learn how to manage your money. Learn how to do this. Because you don't always want to depend on somebody else to do it, because you need to know how to do it because you may be by yourself. See, that's why I say that this list they have is so vague and it's just a stupid list. Number 6, don't do anything that could be construed as weakness. Well, everybody should be taught that. You're taught that in the business world. Everybody is taught that. That's not something just men are taught. Everybody's taught that. I don't understand that. Everybody is taught that. None of this has anything to do with what they call toxic masculinity. None of this. This is all basic life stuff that every family teaches in some form or fashion, except for that rage bullshit. I don't know where they get that from. But depending on looking at who's doing all the mass shootings, I can kind of tell you what culture's teaches that. Never snitch. Never snitch. Never snitch is part of men. Never snitch. That's a whole community thing. Every race, culture, gender says never snitch. Friends, don't tell on friends. Where do you get this from? And why are people using this as a model to determine if a child is going to exhibit toxic masculinity as they grow older? I don't understand this. Who would even co-sign on this? This is like, you know what this sounds like to me? It sounds like what somebody say who was in a bad relationship. This is what it sounds like. Somebody who got dumped. This is sound like a list they would come up with. And I can hear it now. Girl, you know what? These men want to suffer in silence because she was an intolerable woman that didn't know how to talk or listen to her man. Oh, he didn't want to have sex with me. I don't know what was wrong with him. He ain't got no needs. No, he just didn't have no needs from a trifling woman like you. He just can't stand to lose. Can't stand to lose. No. He wanted to lose you. So that definitely clearly wasn't the problem. Show no emotions other than bravado or regard. He just got so angry every time I walked in the house because you was a pain in the ass. Okay? Don't depend on anyone. He didn't want to depend on you because you was unreliable. That's why. Don't do anything that can be construed as weakness. Didn't want to deal with you. Okay? Didn't want to deal with you because you were too bossy and too nagging. That's why. Okay? Never snitch. All right? Didn't want to be bothered with you. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. All of this sounds like somebody that came from a bad relationship. This is something that a woman who could have said that she who broke up with her boyfriend, or something that a man could have said after he was dealt badly with a woman. You know what I'm saying? It could go either way. It could go either way. All of this stuff. I mean, you can even relate this to sports. I mean, you can even say this is just sports term. Listen, if you're losing and you're hurting because you're losing, don't worry about it. You just keep on playing. You know what? Only thing you need to do is win. All right? Do your best. We don't want to lose. I mean, all of this, this is so stupid. But this is what people are taught. Now, let's talk about the female box, okay? The female box is never depend on a man. You don't need a man. You are independent and strong. You don't have any needs from a man. Don't let a man think you're weak. You can run this world just as good as any man. Call them out, but not us. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? How it just seems like all of this stuff that people are creating for men and women is doing nothing but pitting men and women against each other. That's all it's doing. It's pitting men and women against each other unjustly and without a real cause. You know what? We got to acknowledge the fact that toxic behavior is a result of an individual, and we need to start addressing that as far as toxic behavior overall, how people act and interact with each other. It is not a male thing. It is not a female thing. And if you want to take it deeper, if you really want to take it deeper, I've said this before, there's been a lot of talk about the fact that men have run this world and these are traits that men have created. No. We are talking about white men problems that they have had with their women. Because remember, black men have not ran this world. From the 60s to the 70s to the 80s, white men have been the predominant decision makers in this world and pretty much still are today. If you want to talk about boys clubs, you know what I'm saying? There are a lot of white boys clubs out there. You know what I'm saying? So you got to stop saying this. And I got to ask this because I know people, I'm going to keep it real. I'm not going to bullshit the conversation and candy cotton, whatever it is. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to sugarcoat the conversation. But are black people as a culture who have always not had their own culture sort of looking at the white American culture, and is black Americans adopting white American traditions? And are we now fighting a war that is really between white men and women, and we're being drawn into it? Because remember something. As African Americans, the only thing that we had to see as far as family traditions were white people in America. That was it. Because that's all we had on TV. That's all we had to see because that's all we were around. So this is their culture and their traditions that we are now being pulled into their fight. And notice, this is the only time we're pulled into a fight is when either the white woman wants to accomplish something, so it has to be all women, or the white man is on the defense for something, so it has to be all men. Toxic behavior is an individual thing. It's an individual thing. It is not toxic masculinity. I know because I remember movies like Rambo. Rambo was just a cool movie. Predator was a cool movie. When young men watch movies like Rambo, it was about right and wrong. That's what masculinity was about. Being strong enough to do the right thing. Being strong enough to be a man and be understanding that a man has responsibility. It wasn't about beating a woman or downgrading a woman or holding a woman back. It was about protecting women. It's like I said earlier. They make it seem like men who beat women is all a part of toxic masculinity. No, that's an individual thing because many men don't agree with that. Matter of fact, we used to call men out for that. But you know what? We're going to take a break. When I come back, man, we're going to sum all this up and I'm going to leave you with the final thought right here on the Simply Straight Talk Show.
We'll be back with your host, Reggie, on Simply Straight Talk.
RM Viaging is a company based on life's journey and sharing life lessons with the world in the form of laughter and reflection, inspiring people to go after their dreams and not giving up on life. RM Viaging creates inspirational music and motivational speeches designed to motivate all age groups. Visit our website at www.rmviaging.com to hear samples of our music. You will also find motivational articles on our blog page titled New Life, New Mind blog. We also have a weekly podcast hosted by Reggie called Simply Straight Talk, all on our website at www.rmviaging.com.
Simply Straight Talk. It's that time. Reggie is about to break this conversation down.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Simply Straight Talk Show. This is part 3, the last segment of today's show. Listen, in this conversation about toxic masculinity, I know there's a lot of emotions that come out of this topic. You probably heard me express how I feel about some things regarding toxic masculinity. And like I said, I still stand by what I said at the beginning of the show. I don't believe that toxic masculinity is real. What I do believe is that toxic behavior is real. And toxic behavior is taught from bad relationships. It's taught from the environment around people. And people just adapt and learn from what they live in life. It's not always about masculinity. I don't think masculinity has anything to do with it. I think it's about what people learn as they go through life. That's a majority of things that we pick up in life. I didn't have a father figure in my life. So the things I learned from my environment. I learned from my relationships. Some things were bad and I didn't learn till I got older in life. But those things had nothing to do with beating women or disrespecting women or sexually assaulting women or doing anything wrong against women. It's just the fact that I was in relationships and you know what? The person I was with was just a bad choice. And that has nothing to do with masculinity. So there are things I am a little more protective of myself because it's like, listen, I don't want to go through that again. So I might be a little more, kind of held back in some areas. But I don't think we need to stop categorizing one group or gender because of what a few individuals do. There is toxic behavior, there is toxic individuals, but it's not toxic masculinity. Because for you to say and just keep saying that men, it comes across as like there are no flaws with women, that women are perfect and that women have no role in the things that are going wrong today. Like women actually have no impact on another person's behavior. Women don't have impact on other women. Women don't say negative or bad or do bad things. Only men do. That's how it comes across. Now, you might want to say, well, you're just being defensive and you're just trying to deflect the issue. No, what I'm saying is the issue is a people thing. It has nothing to do with one gender or one race. It is a people thing. And I think the fact that we're not acknowledging that is a real problem. We're not acknowledging the fact that it is a people thing. And we need to start making sure that we absolutely agree that we have to work together as men and women. We can't just start accusing women of stuff, and women can't just start accusing men of stuff. We have to isolate the issue with the individuals who are committing the offensive behavior and stop just putting it on one gender, because we're never going to get anywhere like that. Because as long as we're saying women come to the table and we're accusing women, women are going to come to the table in a defensive mode. And sometimes it's hard to break or crack that wall once you built it. And it's the same thing for women. When you're asking men to come and have a conversation, but you're labeling us all as sexual predators, you're labeling us all as Me Too violators, you're labeling us all as toxic masculine men, when we come and sit down at the table with you, we're already coming with the fact that before I can even talk to you, I got to clear my name. I got to let you know that I am not who you saying that I am, because you don't know me. And I don't want you judging me based on the fact of who you have dealt with or who your friend has dealt with or a bad relationship you heard about somebody else. Don't put me in that category, because that's not me. Because all men are not out here saying they won't hire women. There are some men who would love to hire women. I have hired more women in my life than men. I have given women an opportunity at a job to where I'm like, you're questionable, but that was still the best candidate. I could have easily dismissed that person and just went on and said, let's start the hiring process over again. So it's not all men. And, the fact that we're just categorizing all men just really bothers me. This is a people issue. This is something that we need to address with people. It is not a gender issue. It has to change. If you want a resolution, if you want everybody to come to the table and work on resolving what we feel is toxic or bad behavior in people, we have to come to the table without an accusatory tone or statements to bring the conversation to the table. Because if you can't bring people to the table and accept the fact that, you know what, this person coming to the table has not violated any of these rules, but they're coming to talk, that person is going to come with more information and more willing to talk. And you won't spend 3 hours or 4 days or every conversation starting off with, let me set the record straight, but I'm not guilty and I'm not going to be accused of being guilty. We got to learn how to invite people to the table without putting them on the, without making them a suspect. And that's what we're doing. You're telling men you're a suspect, come sit down and talk to me. Who wants to do that? Who wants to be put in that position? And we both sides have to see that. We have to be better as people and recognize that toxic behavior and toxic behavior is a individual thing. It is not a gender. It is not a race thing. It is a people thing. And I stick by that. I stick by that. Now, do I feel that a lot of this behavior was originally adapted from, the 60s and 50s and 70s from the white culture? Yes, because that was the culture that all of this stuff stemmed from, because that was all that was seen. But at the time, nobody could call it out because who was in power? It was only one gender race that was controlling everything. And now it's all coming to a head, and they want to label the whole pot in one group, and you can't do that. I admit, some of the bad apples probably spilled over and rubbed over into the other pots, but it's still an individual thing, because you got women out there. Just think, I was the judge in Kentucky. She was a female judge first forcing her staff to have sex in the office. Come on. This is an individual thing, and it goes with both male and female, so it needs to be addressed as such. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. Now, this is the final show of season 6. So with that being said, I know it was a heavy topic, but still, I want to acknowledge the people that really had a great impact on helping me put this podcast out. We got Toon Lover, who's one of the great voiceovers you see in the skits. You also have Angelique. You guys know her. She's been with me for a while. And I got to give mad respect to my man Zelot, who actually does my editing. This dude is great, man. I'm going to drop his link down below. So if you need any audio editing, I think he does video editing too. So, but I'm gonna drop his link down below so y'all can check him out, man. But definitely check out Zelot because this brother is so patient. I mean, this dude is so cool, man. He really does a great job with my audio editing, getting the audio right, getting all the files mixed together. You know what I'm saying? Because I basically put it, make it all, then I send it to him, and he has to make it sound good and make it flow. And that's what he does, man. So y'all check out my man Zelot, man. If y'all need any audio editing, podcast editing, check out my man Zelot, and he'll hook you right on up. He's a good dude, man. Y'all check him out. Hey, thank you for joining us. And don't forget, we are still getting ready. We're already jumping into season 7. We're getting the topics and the scripts and all that stuff ready so we can bring y'all even more great conversations. If y'all like more topics like this, that's a little more out there, more suggestive in dialogue, let me know. But I definitely want to make it something that everybody can enjoy. And like I said, I love everybody, but I'm going to call everybody out. I'm going to call out my brothers and sisters if they wrong. I'm going to call out, if it's the white race, the Indian race, whatever race it is, if you're wrong, I'm going to call you out. You know what I'm saying? I've called out my own people. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm going to call everybody out. And that's what this show's about, man. That's what this show has always been about. It's about being real conversation, real life issues, real life topics. And I don't want to keep my discussions on the surface. I want to get to the root of where a lot of our problems lie. But in the end, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter who you are. We are all people, and this world cannot function unless we learn how to function together and as one. Hey, thank you for checking out the show. Get ready. Season 7 is coming real soon. See ya.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Simply Straight Talk Show. Connect with us at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to sign up to our newsletter and check out the New Life, New Mind blog at newlifenewmind.com. See you at the next episode.